What's up, guys? It's Shaquille the Eagle here, and welcome to DevLog 3 of Punchball. Today, what we're going to be doing is working on the score and the high score system. We are going to go ahead and keep track of your actual score as you hit balls and save your score and high score into the system. And at the end of the video, I actually added a little function that lets you reset your high score if you lose the game. So let's go ahead and get started.
Alright, so at this point here, I'm setting up the score counter, which is the actual script for the score management system. And then after we get done with that, we are going to be getting started on actually making the entire score system. While we're here, I'd also like to mention that there was an issue that used to bother me a heck of a lot in Visual Studio, and that is where your cursor will become like a gray blob, and it'll just erase everything that's in front of it whenever you type. Well, I didn't know this before. That's actually something called, what was it called? I don't forgot what the name of it was. But anyway, it's a type of mode, and when you activate this mode, it does that. So I had to reset Visual Studio, and I don't know how to turn it off. Alright, so at this point, I'm reviewing a lesson that I did previously during my C# course classes, so I can actually start going ahead and making the score manager script. So that's actually what I'm doing now in order to get started with that. Alrighty, at this point I'm almost done with the score portion of the score script. At this time I'm setting everything up for the playerprefs and getting everything put in there. Still reviewing my lesson in order to do that, but I'll just keep on keeping on. So, at some time here, I start working on the high score. And the high score is great because it's a score that's high. It's higher than your last score. So it's a high score, a score that is high. And I'm not good at comedy. But seriously though, I'm working on the high score now. The actual script portion of it is almost done. Alrighty folks, so now Ah, the user interface. We all know it, we all love it, or at least you should. As you can see here, I'm working on the user interface for the score and the high score counter. So I'm, making all the text for it, making it look somewhat decent. But then, as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and start programming it. And as a matter of fact, I think I already have. Alright guys, so at this time, this is going to be my day 2 lunch break. Or is it my day 2 lunch break? No, it's my day 1 lunch break, which means I've got something very, very special for you guys today. I hope you all enjoy it. And a little shout out to a YouTuber that's actually started to support me since I've posted my first 2 devlogs. So bye! Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. That took a little bit longer than expected, but we are going to go back and start programming this Scooore system in. Let's go ahead and get on it. Alright, so there was another project that I did that dealt with playerprefs and score and high score systems, so I was thinking at the time that it might actually help me in this case if I actually refer to those. So here I actually try looking up those lessons so I could, learn a thing or two about them again. But as I come to learn, they didn't really help me out all that much. But, you live, you learn, you live, you learn. Alright, now that I actually done paused the thing for here, I think it's a good time to mention the fact that I have an Instagram for Jakeagle the Eagle. It literally is just Jakeagle the Eagle in lowercase letters. I'll link it down in the description if you want to check it out, but as soon as I start posting more often on YouTube, I'm also going to start posting more often on Instagram when I actually have stuff to post. As a matter of fact, I'm going to post this next devlog here onto my Instagram and make a couple of stories on it, so go check it out. 3 days! It took me 3 days to make that potato salad! Yeah, no, this ain't potato salad, but this is a devlog, and it took me 3 days to record this video, mainly because 2 of the days that I'm working, I only had like an hour or two, or less than that, before I had to go to work, so I couldn't really put a lot of good time in all at once in order to get what I needed to get done. However, I did get as much of it as I could done, and I think I got some pretty good progress. So, that's what I did. So, 3 days, however, this is what I got so far in those 3 days. It's also at this time that I also did something that I thought might help, but didn't really actually do that. I created something called the UI Manager. Now, typically UI Manager is pretty good if you're trying to like control your UI and things like that. However, the thing that I neglected to keep in mind is that the way that I was trying to do it was based off an older project. The project was coded very, very specifically for that game, and the reason being is because there are a lot of UI animations and specific tasks that had to be done for that game. Like if you lost, a panel would fly down saying you lost and stuff like that. So I come to learn very, very quickly that a lot of that Scooore Manager and a lot of the UI Manager just wouldn't work in this case because I wasn't doing all that. And as I struggle to get this done here, you may notice me hopping around between scripts, and this is what I was talking about earlier, taking a look at the older scripts from one of my older projects to see if I could translate it to what we're actually using here in Punchball. But as I said earlier, none of it really worked. I did figure out something that was a lot easier a little bit later on, but this is what I got so far. At this point here, I decided, you know what if I saw these side by side so I don't forget after 3 seconds what I'm looking at. But when I did that, I realized how different these scripts actually were and what the purpose of them was. I realized that there wasn't barely anything from the old project I was trying to get my code from, and this project that would actually work. So I tried to put in whatever I could as best as I could put it, but it didn't really work all that well until I figured out how to do it. Yay, I did it! Or at least at some point I did. I figured out how to get the score running to where it would actually increment the score and show you on the screen. So that's one half of the puzzle figured out. However, I still gotta do more research into high score, because as I said earlier, it doesn't really work all that well. So, yeah. portion actually shows you how important it is to actually program your game objects correctly. I wanted the score and the high score to be run solely from the game manager. However, when I initially did this lesson, which is the baseline for Punchball, they had us incrementing the score from the game manager, which caused a little bit of an issue here. But what I figured out is that when you take a look at the script for the balls, it refers to the game manager. Basically, it calls on the game manager for its score. And as soon as I figured out how to switch it to the score manager instead of the game manager, I was able to get the entire score manager to work, and it only called from the score manager. But you'll see here soon that there is another script that's causing even more issues later on down the line. Stuff that I plan to have on it, and just, basic information in general. So Punchball is going to be a mobile game, right? It's going to be for Android. I don't plan on releasing it for iOS, at least not now. Maybe a possibility in the future, but as of now, it's not going to be for iOS. It's just going to be for Android, and it's going to be just a really, really simple game that you can enjoy and have fun with. But the main thing I wanted to bring back is the spirit of competition that people used to have. Like when people in the 80s went to arcades, they gathered around machines trying to beat everybody else's high scores. And that's the kind of thing that I want to bring back when I'm making Punchball here. And that's why I'm making the game the way that it is right now. And some of you might... And another thing that I'm trying to avoid is making a gacha game or making a Skinner box. There are a lot of games out there that are just money hogs that just want to take your money. Now, I don't plan on having ads in my game whatsoever. I don't want any ads in it. Because there are no ads in this game, it's going to have to be a game that you pay for. You're going to have to pay for it. And I do want in-app purchases to be a part of the game. However, that's going to be the last thing I'm going to program into it. The reason being is because I want to make the game completely playable and winnable without them. I just want the in-app purchases to be an option in case people want them. And of course, you can buy things like power-ups, cosmetic stuff. We'll get to that in future devlogs and things like that. But the main thing about it is I want this to be a game with a whole bunch of different levels where people compete to beat each other's high scores and stuff like that. Now, as far as how the game looks right now, this is just a very, very rough draft. All of the assets are going to be changed, and everything's going to look a whole lot nicer when I actually get done with it. I'm just at the stage of the game right now where I'm solely focused on making the mechanics and making sure everything works correctly before I do any of that. And music is definitely going to be in the game. There's going to be a lot of music. A lot of it I'm going to be making myself and my guitar. And I'm going to make sure that the game has good sound and good music attached to it to make it even more catchy and not just boring and repetitive. So that's pretty much what I got for you right now. Alrighty, you guys. So I hope you've been enjoying the extra commentary so far. Hopefully it makes the videos less and less boring, and provides you with a little bit more insight into my thought process and how I'm actually doing these things. As for now, I'm going to take a quick lunch break, and then I'll be back with you guys for the last couple hours before I have to go to work today. Alright, so I'm continuing with the high score segment of this dang script in this dang game. This was actually the hardest bit to do, to be honest with you. And I know it should have seemed like it's really simple. But here's the thing. The way I was taught in this course is by just using playerprefs to control pretty much everything. Everything was controlled by playerprefs, and I learned later on that there was a much simpler way to do it, specifically for this game. And I actually think at this point I'm learning how to do that right now. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. While we're here, please allow me a minute to talk about playerprefs and why they can be annoying sometimes. Like I said, I was taught in the way to use playerprefs for everything, and that for Punchball at least made it really complicated to get some good code in that actually worked and did what it was supposed to do. Luckily, here in the lesson that I'm watching here on YouTube, I figured out actually how to do it and to do it a lot more simply. The thing about it is now is that I have to make it work when I restart a level, because in the lesson that he did, whenever you lose your game, he has code set up to where the player will just change its position back to start, right? The way that I have Punchball set up is that when you lose and hit a restart button, it calls on the scene manager to reload or go to a next scene. So as far as score on high score goes, I have to use at least a little bit of playerprefs in order to get that saved. So that's what's going on there. So I have another thing that I gotta tell you all guys about. With Punchball, it's a 2D Android game, yes. However, I do not plan on being an Android developer. I want to be a PC console developer. The reason being is because there is an actual series that I want to make that are 3D games that are set in my own universe, and I will start hinting and previewing at these games a little bit further, but it's going to be a series of games that takes place over a timeline in my own created universe and my own created assets. And I've actually already started creating some of the assets for these games, including a couple of characters. And the very bare bones basics I can tell you about the story, it's essentially a superhero game series. However, it's not the type of superhero that you think of when you hear like Marvel or DC, or even the type of unconventional superhero that you would see nowadays. That, you know, even though they're not Marvel or DC, you could tell that it's a superhero game or that it's a superhero movie. I'm gonna try to make that not so by not emphasizing the superhero portion part of it, and you all will see what I mean when I start hinting at these games, but I think it's gonna be really, really cool. The first thing though is getting Punchball out so I can make my actual first game, say that I completed it, say that I did a good job with it, and I think Punchball so far is going very, very well. I did have a little bit of hiccups with the timer and with this, and I'm imagining I'm going to have a bunch more hiccups in the future considering that this is my first game. But as far as games go, I am so glad I decided to go with Punchball first than my actual in-game universe that I'm trying to figure out. So there you go, guys. Enjoy the rest of the log. when I was talking to you about how there's another script blocking the entire thing from working? This is what I was talking about. The freaking UI manager. I had the UI manager set up in there and I completely abandoned it, and I forgot to delete everything out of it. So whenever Scooore Manager tried to work, the UI manager would block it. So I'm over here, and as soon as I removed it, everything started working perfectly. So yeah, the freaking UI manager blocking my stuff. Okay, we're almost done here. As a matter of fact, I think we pretty much are done. However, I did add a little bit of feature to Punchball to where if you lose a level, or if you're trying to be like a certain high score mark and you purposefully lose a level so you can regain your high score, you can actually reset your high score using a button on game lose. Not on game win, because I don't think it would be a very good idea to put it there, but we do have a button on game lose now to where you can reset your high score. Yippee! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are all done with DevLog 3, and boy was this one a while. I figured that with this devlog that the high score and everything would have been done already, and we'd be able to move on to what I have in line next, but hey, I guess that's just the process of game development, you know. It takes like 5 hours to do something you think is simple, and then you figure out something super complicated in 3 seconds. I don't know. But either way, high score's done now, and the score is done now as well. So now when you play the game, score is updated, and so is high score. And I also added a little extra feature on when you lose, so that you can actually reset your high score. And this was actually a lot easier to do this time instead of, like I said before, using playerprefs in order to manage the entire thing. I only had to use playerprefs in order to store the information, and I could wrote really simple lines of code from a tutorial in order to store the score and high score. That rhymed. So anyway, yeah, that's devlog 3. Score! I will meet you all next for devlog 4, where we're going to be adding some new balls with different abilities. Ooh. And we're going to be controlling when they actually come in and what they actually do. And then finally, after I do that, I'm going to be making some adjustments to the clock, adding in that function to where each of the balls will give you a certain amount of time, and then level 1 will be done. As soon as I get level 1, I'm going to create the level for the game starting screen, where balls are just going to be bouncing around, and you can actually click to start the game, and then we'll move on to adding more levels, and voila! So stay tuned. Thank you all for watching these devlogs. Special shout out, let me pull up his name here, because I got a special shout out I got to do today. Because, yeah. Special shout out to Karosuf Dev. He is a channel. He also does game development. He has 98 subscribers right now, and he commented on game devlog 2 for Punchball. So go check out his stuff, see what he's got, because he's been around here a lot longer than I have, and has quite a few more subscribers. So that would be appreciated. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you for devlog 3 or devlog 4.